All right, ladies and gentlemen, Aoshi here, and today's video, I'm joined by some legendary folks. You might know them. I'm joined by Rob from Flailthroughs and RedWolfVion here. How you guys doing tonight? Or technically it's afternoon as we're recording this.
Not too bad.
Doing all right. What's up?
I mean, I know it's the weekend, so I know we're kind of laid back a little bit. But the reason why I wanted to bring you guys here is we've had a lot of different, I wouldn't necessarily say changes, but developing news regarding Gundam Battle Operation as a whole, and maybe even if you want to consider specifically Gundam Battle Operation 2. So I felt like this would be a good opportunity to, sit down with you guys and, get your guys' opinion as a whole, amongst multiple different topics, on the future of GBO as a whole, or as even, with what we're getting, in months ahead for GBO 2. So, to lead off with our first topic, we're looking at, in terms of GBO 2, we have about over 400 mobile suit choices, and we're getting more as time goes on. I'm assuming they want to push for year 8, maybe year 9. I don't want to tangent too far just because some of that stuff does overlap with this first topic. But before I give you my guys' opinion, I was wondering, for you guys in particular, since I would say you guys have played GBO 2 as a whole for quite some time, years upon years, probably as much as I have, maybe even more. With the amount of mobile suits that are available in the game, do you consider it kind of a blessing or a curse?
Yes, but I think it can be both, because I've been talking about this in videos a lot recently, just because it's I had a conversation with a friend on the Transformers side of things who was like a big into Street Fighter, and I told him there are like 400 or 500 playable mobile suits in this game, and he was just like absolutely just shocked, because how do you balance that? And that's a very good question that I don't have an answer for. We at least have them divided up by cost, but yeah, I say it a lot because of how YouTube works, and because of I do requests and all these things. Just like, it's really hard to, I feel like, for me at least, to practice a given mobile suit until I'm really good at it. Most of my fallback stuff is still like year 1, year 2 things, because there was time then with the smaller selection to really specialize, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, like, you're a big fan of, like, the early prototype, or not the early prototype, but the early production Gelgoog, basically Char's Gelgoog, before it was a separate raid. So I know you're a big fan of that. So
oh yeah, that can work really, really well.
Yeah, so I definitely understand why it's yes in that retrospect. But I feel like what really kind of hurts is that the only thing that we publicly see with GBO 2 is that the developers only give the metrics of, say win, loss, I think average kills and average win percentages, to name a few, in regards to updating suits. Like, to use Grandpa as an example, that thing has been, and for the folks that are new to Gundam, by the way, when we say Grandpa, we're talking about the original RX-78-2 Gundam. It's been years since that suit came out, when the game first came out. And with everything that has come out for the past, we'll count this year, past 7 years, it's been out of date. It's been power crept until like last month, which everybody and their mom is playing Grandpas now at like 400, 450, 500, 550 even. So I definitely agree with the answer there, and it's really a hard metric to kind of gauge, like, well, balancing stuff, all that stuff too, when a lot of that is all behind kind of the behind the scenes and not necessarily in the public eye. But before I tangent too hard, Vion, did you have anything to say about that and in that regards, or an opinion?
So when you have so many suits in a game, even like Rob mentioned, even when they're cut up within their own costs, there's still a lot. And the tricky part about it is like the older suits are always going to get that power creep when the newer suits come out, right? That's why they have to update older suits. They've done it 2-3 times now where they do the batch updating, which is great. But for like newer players coming to the game that's been out for 7 years, there's a lot of options, and they always won't be able to practice the suit they want to use. Like, if you want to just jump in, play around a quick match, you'll have no more than 2 hours for certain to play a certain cost, But depending on the cost, you might be able to do ranked or rated. And then people play a little bit differently, a little more seriously when it comes to their point value. So that's a whole nother basket of things. But personally, I like the idea of having a lot of choices, but looking at it, we gotta ask ourselves, is it like this many suits, or is it variants of suits? Like, Grandpa or Gundam level 1, do level 4, level 5. Like, at that point, like, I think it's a curse. I don't like some of the suits being used as filler for higher costs after level 2. That's just me and my own personal bias.
Oh yeah, like 750 for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you should not be able to run Grandpa in 750. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I know if you want to feel really cool and stuff, but you shouldn't be able to do all that. And honestly, that goes to the point where when you have so many suits in the game, it starts to change how some of the suits work. Like, I remember before we had funnels like that in the game, right? And before we had transforming suits, when we had the little era of suits always transforming and flying, that was cool. Then we had suits that had all these funnels, it was really cool. And now we're seeing more suits that have the continuous laser beam more than ever now. And not to mention the whole transformation. But again, my point of this is, when you have so many suits, you're going to have to try to invent different play styles. And when you have all these different play styles at all these different costs, then it can be, like you said, a blessing or a curse with certain meta or certain tactics used on certain maps. I mean, that's the name of the game, but it is what it is. So
it does strike me as weird.
Good. Go ahead.
It does kind of. Okay, thanks. It does kind of strike me as weird, that for people outside the game, it's got to be kind of strange and off-putting that there's like 3 or 4 different mechanisms for flight in the game, depending on what mobile suit you're using. Yeah, that has to be really weird to adapt to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got the, Bilerant flying, you got flap boosters, you got transforming, to name a few. Yeah, it's a lot. So, like, for me, I would say I agree with both of your guys' sentiments. You actually bring up a lot of different things, and I feel like there's no clear answer. Like, that's kind of the drawback of having such a good variety of suits with different playstyles, despite maybe being, going into like variants. Like, you have ground Gundam example. You got the base ground Gundam, you got weapons rack, you got the EZ8, you got the EZ8 weapons rack, and all the MSV stuff that's there. I think it's kind of cool, but at the same time, from a gameplay standpoint, you run into issues where you're constantly having to keep tabs on that power creep and changes with the game as we move into later UC and the evasion from AU, which we'll get into in a second. But like, I think it's kind of like a the lesser of two evils, because if we were to keep it in universe, right, just Gundam franchises in general, I'm not going to use any other game references, but say if we were to compare it to, say, Maxi Boost or something, where they use a similar system but their roster is a lot more restrictive, well, that's kind of I'm basically playing a hero shooter at that point. despite, you know, oh, it's my favorite suit, but you know, it's only good for this type of situation or this type of fighting style and so forth. So I feel like going into, like, say, future battle operation titles, I think that's going to be a constant thing. I don't think there's a clear solution, but it definitely feels like it's a lesser of two evils that we're just going to have to live with at the end of the day.
I'm inclined to agree, and you know what? Whereas the selection can definitely be a curse sometimes. I think, incidentally, just since popped up in my brain, I think for the record, they said there were like 500 distinct mobile suits in the game as of like about when F91 was added. So that doesn't even count like initial additional levels and the like. But I as much as confusing as that can be, as complicated as it can make things, I also love that about the game. Just the fact
absolutely.
that there are all these mobile suits in this game that I have never seen in anything else. You know, there's just so many, you know, obscure MSVs and variations and things that you don't even have the parts to make in Gundam Breaker that, you know, only show up in GBO2, and, you know, simulations like, you know, G Generation or something like that, where it's significantly less complex to, you know, implement those suits. So yeah, I really, you know, as much as it can be a problem, it's also just kind of part of the game's character that I would like it less without.
Yeah, because there's nothing like it out there that compares to it.
Yep.
All right, so next on our topic list, we have cost restrictions and locations. Right now, whether you're playing on, say, a weekday, for example, you're limited to certain sorties options per hour for both rated and quick. I think right now for, like, say, even though it's Sunday for us on in America, it's Monday in Japan because of the 16-hour difference. So if you're playing rated, you only have 3 options, and chances are it's like a mid-range cost and all the way up to like 650, 700, 750 or something. So 3 options, and then maybe if you're lucky, you'll get 4 options in quick. So, you know, with that said, going into the future, because there's no signs that we're going to get an update in terms of having more options in, say, GBO2 at the time being, or nothing indicates that we'll have an improvement in that. Do you think it's something that, you know, perspective-wise, that it's something that they even might remotely consider in, like, say, a future GBO title, perhaps?
That's a tough question. There's, you know, I remember early in, and sometimes, you know, to this very day, if you tried to get around on, if you try to get a space round, sometimes when there are no space token goals for the day, you can have a hard time with it. So it's kind of the, you know, it's one of those things of, it's a clunky solution, but I can't think of a better one, which is an awful lot of GBO2, where just, you know, more options would be nice, but also getting, sometimes even just for the options there are, getting enough players at one time to actually sortie at some of these costs and map choices can be kind of difficult. So just, you know, I feel like the more they broaden the options, the harder it's going to be to get a group together. So I'm kind of torn. The one thing I will say is I wish that they wouldn't lock so many maps out of the random selections in because there's just maps, you know, it's like I played Port Base High Tide on a random round recently, and I don't remember the last time that happened. So just, yeah, that could stand to be revised, but I'm not quite sure how you crack the nut of you know, accommodating as many players as possible while also, you know, not having them sit in the lobby for on their own for, like, you know, 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thing is, like, how I look at it as well, not only with the whole, you know, every 2 hours the you know, the match types move over. You're kind of dividing the player base in a sense. Mind you, it's the kind of culture that this game has for it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're used to this. A lot of the games would be like, oh wow, I have to play this in the next hour because I don't have any good 700 suits or any 650 good suits. I just want to play 450. So you get in, you have 30-40 minutes left for 450, you play it and you're like, wow, do I try playing it or do I sign off? Do I look in ranked? Like, so I don't feel like there's actually a good okay. I could, in a far way, I could see a system similar to kind of like Shuffle or kind of like the other special match where, you sort is whatever suit, but depending on your cost or your level, you take up that much away, just like Extreme Versus.
Mix up.
Yeah, mix up. But the problem with that is you're going to have like someone going in with a gun tank and someone else going in with like Unicorn Gundam, and they're going to get just absolutely clapped. You know what I'm saying? So like even in that situation, while I do like the option of mix up, I think that's really cool. I don't think that could be a core gameplay mode because I see if they were to, implement something crazy in GBO2 or the next battle operation game they have, they would have to consider having like a static cost for a week maybe, or like maybe 2 static costs, 1 cost and basic and 1 cost and rated, and it's always the same cost. It might change maps, but it will always be the same cost for a certain amount of days. I mean, that could be a possible solution for some things, but I honestly, man, with the amount of content they have and there being so many suits at different levels, they would have to honestly rebalance a lot of suits and kind of convert them to a different cost to make this viable. Because remember, we started off, what's the lowest cost in GBO2, gentlemen?
100 cost.
Yep. Not
100
that 100
costs.
was ever used.
Exactly. So there's costs that I will argue that aren't really used. Mind you, might be used in custom rooms, and people might have fun with them. By all means, go ham. But when we have 100 to 750, and who knows 800 whenever, that's a lot. That's a lot of restrictions with specific suits, especially say Aoshi, he logs on, he pulls a Hazel suit. He's like, all right, I want to run this 500. You won't see 500 for like maybe a day or two, depending on your availability. So,
yep.
I don't know. That's just me though. They cannot, and I don't want them to do Call of Duty where you go to the specific mode and you queue up for it, because at that point, everyone will be separated in terms of matchmaking. But
absolutely. And
oh man,
I would say this is a good segue because I'm skipping topics, and that's a good segue into the rated system. Anyway, so I don't know if they updated this, and you guys might have to correct me on this because I've tried to educate myself on it, but the last thing I remember pulling up was, this is from 2023, but basically as a GBO player, you can't drop below 1800 points in ground. I think that's like a B somewhere, and then I think B minus is 1700 for space. So
wait, what?
Yeah.
So you it's funny because like me, I don't drop rank, I only climb. But
yeah,
no.
So it's basically a hard cap, so like you can't even drop below like into C plus or anything.
That's interesting because you start off much lower, but I mean, honestly, if you're doing rated rank and stuff, the grind probably won't even start till you're like maybe B plus, like maybe.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's around B. So you can't even drop below beyond, like I said, 1800, which I think is B minus or whatever. Because 1500-ish is around like D plus or something. So yeah, so that's kind of weird, right? Because of that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because of that, we've got S flat. And so a majority of players at mixed ranges, right, are somewhere in between A minus all the way up to A+. That's literally the thick of things. Yeah.
A+ or S+?
You're probably thinking S-, because it's S- and then
S-.
There's no S+ yet.
Yeah.
So
I was about to say, there will be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like, I feel like, for a reference, because I know you went hard on Mecha Break, a completely separate game, but it also has a ranking system. A lot of we'll say competitive games have that.
Yeah.
The way that it's been implemented and kind of diluted and just changed over the years, to me it feels like it's lost all meaning at this point, other than to kind of just serve as a milestone point if we're looking at it from a competitive standpoint, or even if we're looking at it from a clan match standpoint, because clan match wise, to even remotely brush to the top within the top 10, you have to be facing S-flat teams. And like Londo Bell, for example, the clan that I'm part of, we have a good mixture of flat A's and below to A+, to a few that are S- all the way to S's in a few. But the clans that are holding like the top 3 spots are all Japanese. And I'm not trying to insinuate anything. This is not, that's not what we're doing here. This is more of looking at it, the system kind of being broken, essentially. And less so about what the other clans are doing, but it's just more of the result of the environment that we're in from a competitive standpoint, or from the looking at the rated system as a whole. Because when you're playing GBO2, quick match doesn't amount to anything. You're getting dailies done. You're still getting DP points, or I'm calling them dueling points. You're getting clan XP, so you're getting those milestones. When you level up your clan, you're getting those tokens and DP points. But when you get into clan matches, it's like that also determines your placement and what you're matchmaking into, and it just kind of like, it's kind of a wash at that point, because even early 2020 or so, it was either 2019 or 2020, they changed the rival system as well. On top of that, I think we had 6 different points of rival points that we could like do better against somebody or not, and that would determine how far up or down you go. Now it's just 3.
Do you remember when you could see your rival in the screen? I remember that.
Was that like
this is your
the
rival.
early days?
Yeah, it was in GBO2. You used to be able to see your rival.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Like it was like a title. It was like a title or like a little sticker beside them, whoever it was. But I mean, you still see them now after the match. But the thing I wanted to also mention that not dropping below like a B, whatever. In hindsight, I'm kind of okay with that, and here's why. If a new player comes in and they want to learn more about the competitive scene, they'll join the competitive discords, watch videos, that's fine. But I feel as if until you get to B, you're still like in an onboarding phase. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're still
absolutely.
trying to learn the basics. You're still trying to learn X, Y, and Z. So once you get to like B-, it's almost a rite of passage saying you either played a lot or you're good enough to be here. Now, if you want to start ranking up, go for it. And at that point, let it start. Because if you bust your butt, because we know how some players can be quick
absolutely.
or rated. If you bust your butt, get to a rank, and you're like, oh, okay, now I see the difference in all the different players that I'm playing and facing off against. If you start losing your rank, you're going to get demotivated a lot quicker, and you're probably not going to turn the game. Mind you, I know that's more of like a safety net response, but already, like you mentioned, a lot of the players are like, eventually they're like A- and up, so eventually you'll get there. If you keep playing, you'll get there. Now, I think it's when you start getting to like A+ and higher, people move and change a lot more, depending how often they play. Some people might play a lot. Some people might play like, casually, but they still try to rank up. But I just mentioned that because if you've watched any of my stuff, you know that I used to do nothing but rated. And
Mhm.
then when I swapped my account, I was like, why do I do rated anymore? Like, I'm just gonna do quick match now. So it's funny that you mentioned like being matched up people based off your rank, which makes sense, but at the same time, I caveat y'all, I don't do clan matches. Aoshi is more versed in the clan matches than I don't do them. I support people who do them, but yeah, that's a whole other topic in its own. But I really would like to see not just it being based off your rating, because at that point, let's say Aoshi, you rank up to A and you just don't feel like going and rated anymore. Like you're done with it, but you only play with S plus people. Like you are better than what that rank might say or indicate. So it's weird when they try to match it up based off just that number. But
I mean, we have Call of Duty and was that skill-based matchmaking? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't think that would work in this kind of game either.
Well, I don't want to interject even more because I want to hear what Rob has to say before I.
No, you're fine.
Before I want to jump in with something related to what you just said, but no, go ahead.
Do it.
Rob, you got an opinion on that at all? Just because I know we're kind of going at it with that, but yeah, go ahead, man.
No worries. I have a few opinions about it. Just I feel like I almost feel like probably we should have a separate rating system for clans themselves, just like for an overall clan skill level.
Exactly.
Because I in terms of like individual players, the rating system is functionally just to sort between beginners, the average player, and the really serious player, with me falling definitely into the average range. So just like, beyond that, it doesn't really provide too much except for a source of frustration for me, honestly.
No, you guys bring up good points, because like for me, I'm kind of both, right? There's days where I just don't want to deal with the trials and tribulations of the rated scene, which I've dropped to flat A so many different times, especially on the weekends, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta come in with a different mindset altogether. But based on our discussion, it almost feels like the way things are right now, your idea of a separate system might be really cool. It's pretty clear, I feel like the rated system as a whole needs some type of revamping. I don't know what, because I'm not getting paid the big bucks for this, so I can't, brainstorm this. It would be nice to, but I can't. But I feel like definitely some change, some type of change going into a future GBO title. This would be very important because, yeah, we do want to kind of have some type of separation between beginners and people that are a little more well-versed and more familiar with the game, because for me, while an easy match might be cool, at the same time, nobody likes to, beat down the little guy. You don't learn anything, and it's very one-sided and not very enjoyable for all the parties involved. So yeah, it's really hard to say. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention too, I totally forgot, because with the last survey that they put out, I think it was earlier this year, right? Or the tail end of last year. Feel free to interject in that. They asked us if we wanted to focus more on quicker matchmaking and less on the rating system itself. And I think most people voted for quicker matchmaking and did not care about the rating. So I'm seeing more matchmaking for me, sometimes occasionally flat A's, A minuses, all the way up to A pluses, and sometimes flat S's and S minuses, depending on the time of day, and maybe just GBO just didn't have its coffee this morning. So it's kind of weird in that sense, but I feel like for sure something needs to be adjusted going from this title forward. Also, I don't remember the year that they implemented this, but back in the day, we were able to do undercost and pre-group for rated mode. And I think just a lot of people complained enough that you're only able to do rated as a solo now. And maybe if you're lucky to hijack into somebody's lobby, that's the only way you can maybe join in with somebody else. in there if you're within, like, say, a certain rating score. I kind of didn't mind that because it did kind of, it was more frustrating for sure, but at the same time, when you look at games that are in similar nature that allow you to pre-group, any remote game out there, it could be a tactical shooter, it could be an arcade shooter, it could even be something that is a hero shooter, they still allow you to group in some shape or form. For them taking that away, I think that was a big L on that part, despite, like, complaints on that, and the fact that you're running under cost too, because I don't know, it hasn't been a while, right? But we haven't had a banner where it was 2 costs for a suit, and not like a limited supply drop, but I mean like a main event banner where it was like 500, 550 or something, right? So, say you got lucky on a... Yeah, thank God, yeah. But say you got lucky on a pull, or maybe it's in the RT shop, and you want to run that suit, and it just so happens that you're under 50 to run that. It kind of ties into our previous topic that I can't run it because the cost restriction, the costs that are up, the spread is so out there that it's just like, well, I got something cool, I can't run it now.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's just,
I'm waiting on the level 2 Bugu so I can actually run it sometime.
Yeah, that might be fun.
Huh.
So for me, kind of, I know we're kind of tangenting back and forth here, but like for me, I feel like a good, decent spread of cost ranges is warranted. I know that's going to be kind of a hard rock in that sense, but yeah, between that and the rated system, I think that needs a revamp as soon as possible, especially going into, say, potentially a new GBO title. And I'll leave it at that.
Running back real quick. So when it not running at undercost, I don't mind that because people would definitely throw or they'll just grieve at some point, and that 50, 100 points, whatever, that could definitely cost a match or cost someone's suit selection in rated anyway. But casual, I don't care as much if they're 50 off. I personally don't care. But I do think that when they took their pre-group out of rated, they probably should have implemented some sort of group rated queue. And like, I know that sounds weird, but how are clans going to practice with one another outside of scrimmaging in custom rooms? You know what I'm saying? Like, allow it where, all right, if you have a 3 stack, you're going to go up against another 3 stack or another 4 stack or 5 stack or another stack of people. Mind you, I think a lot of the complaints were people getting frustrated. Say, me and Aoshi were just chilling. Oh, this is the only cost we want to do. This isn't rated. Or Rob's like, hey guys, let's just play a quick rated match. We're like, all right, cool. And it's a 6v6. 3 of us join in, 3 randoms versus 6 people in a clan. You might not have a good time when they're like, doing SOCOM level communication. You know what I'm saying? And
like my matches yesterday.
yeah, like
when you're up against a full group that is in voice, you can tell.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can tell.
Absolutely tell.
I almost
I
want
will
to
say this though.
Oh, good. Sorry.
I was to say this real quick. I do love that challenge sometimes though, and that challenge definitely shines through when you find that. Just like, okay, I personally like playing against a strong team. It's not that I don't like playing against a strong team. I just don't like playing with people who don't know how to team. And that's that for me.
I think that's like 24/7 thing right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, what you got?
Just a couple of things. You are right about sometimes it is fun to play against like really skilled and coordinated people. Like one of the most like infuriating matches I ever had in the game also taught me how to play the Zeta plus C1. So I
And
I
C1
can't
is
fault
very
that.
strong still too. It's just
It is.
Yeah.
And just like we played against a group that had a C1 that was really good at using their transformation to keep weapons up and keep pressure on, and yeah, that helped a lot knowing how that worked. But But yeah, in the moment, I didn't enjoy it so much. But no, the other thing I was thinking about is, like I said, individual ratings at the moment kind of function more as a filter than anything else. What about in a future title using just like the, experience level rank that we have, general, etc. What about using that to do, matchups and then saving rated matches like exclusively based on your clan rating? That might be a problem for, people who get added to an existing clan early into the game because their friend, just because that's where their friends are.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, just like it, having the rated queues that being, related to your clan rating, so that, and allowing group queues for, obvious reasons, that might function a little better for people than what we have now. Hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know what type of solution I would have for either of any of that, because it's just it definitely shows it's very hard, right? But I would say for certain though, before we close out of that portion, is that it's definitely has shown its age with the amount, like you said, kind of tying back to our first topic, with the amount of suits that are there, with the locations that we're limited to right now, which I'm still asking for a side 7, by the way, an actual colony map, please, I beg. But
yeah,
it's just, yeah, I don't think there's a clear solution yet, and hopefully, maybe, and if we're lucky, hopefully we'll see one with the next title there. All right, gents. So the next thing I want to kind of bring up to you guys, and anybody wants to jump in, they can do that. So GBO2 has limited activities and events. To kind of give you some type of example, right? Battle sim and training. Anybody that's a new player that has done the training stuff, we've done the battle sim, and next week with 7th year anniversary dropping, we're gonna get a whole new battle sim, which is probably not new, but I think they're throwing all 3 bosses probably at us. For the most part, we got some, we'll say very basic and vague information. So the biggest gripe I have is that once you do those, it's pretty much irrelevant. You don't get to revisit those anymore. They're not touched ever again once you get all the token suits, rewards off of the training stuff. It's just done. So I don't know how to jump into this other than I really wish they could do more with this.
I'm jumping in here like the Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah,
sorry, dog.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So my feeling on this is I agree, because while these modes are cool, it feels as if there's not enough backing to it. Like, how we have these special battles and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Imagine, I think what we could do, may it be GBO2 or if there's a sequel or whatever, have it so these, like, hey, you can have weekly missions to incentivize people to play these every week. You could rotate these these boss missions or boss rushes every week and let people get like a few extra tokens or some more DP or some tickets of some kind. Have it rotate weekly, monthly, whatever, and just give people incentive to utilize this mode. Another thing they could do possibly is to just create a whole nother PvE experience. A horde mode would go over very well, or objective based mode. If any of y'all played Code Fairy, you saw that they do have the ability to make really neat stages and neat objectives. But I definitely could see, these limited activities and events. While I do like, getting these limited time missions and stuff, I do think the battle sim training stuff, it's you do it once, you're done. Give me a reason to come back. And that stems with another thing we're probably going to talk about later regarding the rewards to that, because I'm very passionate about talking about this particular topic. But yeah, we also could probably utilize some PvE modes where you could do like a team of 5 or a team of 6 and have each stage or each rotation based off a different war or a different series. Like we have the pieces of this puzzle already. Just gotta see if we can make it. But GBO2's been out for 7 years. It would require a massive overhaul with something like that. So, I mean, that's what
I'm going to interject right there because I'm going to take a page from Rob's book because he already had access to that, and I'm already jealous still to this day because I never got to play it. But I'm going to say Gundam Side Stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And considering that this is based off of that, that engine, I'm like already livid that I never got to play the Blue Destiny stuff. And the thing is that I think to kind of maybe not necessarily elaborate, but kind of like keep it rolling is I feel like if they did something like the equivalent to like say PvE raids or different missions, not just a horde mode, and kind of expand on the Gundam Battle Operation experience, I think that this is an opportunity to tell some side stories as well, because it almost feels like it's a callback for me to Encounters in Space, where you had the main story mode, you had an ace mode, you also had your verses, which could be the main meat of GBO as a whole. And it's just going back to what we were leading into, I just hate to see stuff that is in the game that's not even relatively utilized anymore. And it's like you and I said earlier with that, once you do the battle sim, once you do trailing, it's pretty much irrelevant. It's done. You don't come back to it until they refresh it.
I feel like one of the things, the problems with the training and the battle sims is that it's one of the places, like with ace matches and target shuffle, where like the monetization of the game clashes with the actual content. Because to be honest, when I do those sims, because of how they're set up, I just want to get my tokens and be done. Like there's that pressure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like adding goals into the game to allow you to just have different experiences with that, besides this has to take less than 3 minutes so I get my $3 worth of tokens, that would be tremendously helpful. And just like with situation battles, also just having the back catalog like accessible in some way, as opposed to just rotated in once every, like, I guess it's 3 months for a new one at this point. I think would help flesh things out quite a bit, because once every 3 months for 7 years is I guess Sims started like 2-3 years in, but that's still a decent number of different stages to access that could be in use, could be for people to have a little bit more of a single player experience with the game if they want one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this has been a burning question that I would say, amongst the other topics that aren't clear answers for us because we have limited access to things. But before I even say anything, what's your guys' opinion on a battle pass or sticking to a gacha system in terms of, say, a future GBO2 title, or GBO's title, not necessarily GBO2, but GBO as a whole?
They do not need to do a battle pass. They don't need to do a battle pass. Rob, take it away. I'll come back in a second.
Okay, I don't have a huge opinion on that. I'm not a fan of battle passes, but at the same time, I wonder if they could support a game by getting more people to pay significantly less for a battle pass than it costs to get the full 7 steps on a new 4-star or 5-star. I'm torn, because I do I only spend a little bit on the game here and there. I do not I don't keep up with all the banners. I would be so broke. But man, the gacha at least does provide for there's still a chance of access to really high quality things for free players that I feel like a battle pass might cut off. So it's just I don't know which is better, but I they both have serious flaws, at least from the player's perspective.
Gotcha.
So jumping in here, patty cake, hopscotch, whatever it is, I don't remember. Double Dutch, there we go, double Dutch. So the thing when it comes to when I hear battle pass with GBO2, like Rob mentioned, if you were to look at the price point for how much it is for one 10 pull or like going up to step 7, that's kind of a lot. Right? So we would have to hope that they would be generous enough to give us a battle pass that is either A, well worth more than the money. Say if the battle pass is $15, $20, whatever, like at that point, does that mean they're just going to give us like 9, maybe 15 tokens in this battle pass? Or like, are they going to lock a suit behind the battle pass? I don't want it to become where in order to obtain this suit, you have to buy this battle pass and go through this battle pass for the end of the season, because you're still competing with the every week gacha.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like I've voiced it many times. I have mixed feelings regarding how they're doing the custom parts, because with more banners being added and more places to spend your money, we're not getting enough opportunities to earn tokens for those who like to earn tokens, because like you said, the battle simulator, those will give you like 3 tokens. Everything, you get like 9 tokens every time that stuff flips over, right? But that's like the equivalent of three days out of 1 week for months and months. And the more you give options to the players to like sink their tokens into, the more confused they might be, or the more stingy they might become. And it feels like, why is no one pulling this banner? Or, caveat, I could be wrong, it's like everyone's going to spend money to pull in this banner. Again, personally, I don't like seeing the custom part banners with like 15 off the first step, you get no custom part. Next custom part, you get in another one, you get in the next step, but those are 30 step ups, right? So that is essentially, in order to get one of those custom parts, you have to spend 45 tokens. Not 30, 45 tokens just to get through the first step, right? And if you want that second part, because you might have the first custom part in step 2, you have to spend another 30 tokens. And that point is like, okay, or I can just roll for the suit at some point. And I really, really wish that the custom parts were added into the recycle shop a lot quicker. I know it's a little bit of caveat, but that's the whole battle pass versus gacha element. Because while I do like the recycle ticket system, it's too slow to update with things. Like I shouldn't have get excited for a level 4 G-Line full custom level 4 in recycle ticket, and that suit's been out for years. Like there's things like that. So I think going back to whole gacha versus battle pass, the only way they could get away with doing the battle pass is something similar to like Helldivers, make it very cheap and have like maybe 8 to 10 items you can earn, and they'll have to be like cosmetic, may they be like stickers or like lobby pilot items, and maybe they don't have a place for titles, but that could be an avenue. They could allow you to equip titles for people to see in the room or in the lobbies, but again, they would have to create some sort of place to utilize the battle pass as well. Because for a free-to-play game, we already have the gacha. It's a lot of gacha. They're asking for a lot of tokens or a lot of money. That battle pass, it's going to have people be like, they're asking for a lot of money a lot of the time. And personally, I'm the kind of person, I see it. If I want it, I want it. If I don't, I don't. But in this day and age, gamers are going to complain, and it's going to make that game look that much more worse. Just my opinion, though. But
Oh, yeah.
come into my TED talk.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like, you would think like a battle pass would be a lot more accessible because it's like everything's all out there with the price, but at the same time, it can definitely backfire, on Bandai as well, or BB Studios in this case.
Yeah,
it's just
and
like I don't even want to talk. I don't have room to talk about, people's spending. Okay, I cannot. I'm just gonna say right now, I am not one to talk, but at the same time, like, it definitely feels like, over the years it has been in question as far as like, am I getting, it's a stupid term that I say, but am I really getting my value out of this gacha? Which is, an oxymoron, because it's just like, you don't play gacha for value, dummy. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but it's just like, I'm looking at it in the sense, am I getting the suit? Am I getting the part? Am I getting this?
Yeah.
And especially in that discussion, because like they used to be 10-step pulls too back in the day, or like back in 4th and 5th anniversary, 10-step for Unicorn, High Noon, Nightingale and stuff. Now it's 7-step guaranteed now, and you'll see limited ones that are 4-step guaranteed, or even like the 1-step.
I think very quickly, while you're talking about the steps, I don't think there should be any banners with more than 7 steps.
So going forward, I think the 7-step is pretty reasonable to go for something high caliber, I would say, or high profile for a suit.
Yep.
Yeah, and locking, if they're going to do a 10-step, having like the cosmetic at the 10th step as opposed to, a custom part or, another copy of the suit, I feel is probably.
I think that's what they're doing. Yeah, I think that's what they're doing next week for X1 anyway. So, yeah, 7 steps for that one. I'm not in disagreement with that at all.
Well, I also do want to just chime in real quick and agree with Vion that yes, the custom parts need to be in the recycle ticket store much faster. This is something I put on every single survey they have sent me for the last 3 years.
Like, I agree, because like I'm one to want to find out like the min-max part with suits, but at the same time, like the sacrifice that you have to do financially is pretty silly. Like that banner that you were mentioning, I know exactly which banner you're talking about too. The 3-step banner. I'm like, yeah, that's a trap. It's not worth it, especially if you're even remotely trying to save for X1 next week. I'm like, yeah, that's a trap already.
We've gotten to the habit of like, oh, that's a bait banner, and like bait banners essentially, it's like, it makes you question, this isn't a bad deal, but at the same time, you have another banner that could be a very strong suit, or you have another event coming up the next week or two, and you kind of want to save. And the caveat, if we had more accessibility to more tokens, people will probably be more relaxed with their spending. But without that, people are more stingy because everyone does or can spend money in the game.
Yeah, so I would say as a side tangent, sorry, go ahead.
it would also reduce tension in the actual gameplay, because like I've said before, a lot of the problems with how people play in ace matches and target shuffle is just the fact that there is functionally real money on the line for those matches, because you're trying to get your dailies done. And without that pressure and without that frustration, I feel like people would be a lot more chill about the whole experience and play the objective a little bit more.
Rival wins. I will say this though, and you guys made all good points, as a whole. I definitely do feel like there definitely needs to be more opportunities for tokens. I know there's some bad apples out there that try to take advantage of that, and I'm not a fan of that in that sense, but yeah, there definitely needs to be some type of rework for that, which ironically enough kind of ties into our next topic, because you actually brought up a good point, because we were talking about battle passes beyond pilot cosmetics, or just cosmetics as a whole in GBO 2 or a future GBO. I'm thinking, they have all those normal suits. We have all these little accessories that we got during Halloween and everything. It's pretty neat. I remember them introducing that hairdresser and person at base who never gets used. Another feature that is never touched, or is probably forgotten now. But before I divert this to you guys, and this is kind of taking inspiration from, I think, PSO and even Gundam Breaker 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about having like clan ships or clan lobbies to customize? Now, honestly, I would like to have both, to be fair. Having some type of Zanzibar or assault carrier or something to kind of coincide with like the clan theme, and then you have like a lobby or something that you guys can meet up with and have some type of functionality other than just a meetup kick it spot or something. I think going forward in a future GBO2 title, that would be really cool, and that can tie into like the monetization side of things, because for a free-to-play game to operate, you need some other things to kind of keep it afloat. And giving that type of opportunity for people that really want that level of immersion with the game, I think that would be really neat if they could somehow implement it in a way that, you know, both game-wise, they're happy, we're happy, you know, it's all fun, you know, fun and games and everything.
I wouldn't mind it. You're right. Nobody really messes with the hairdresser, and I think that's again because you get like one respec ticket, and then it's all, you know, it's all real money.
To pay
from
for
there.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also, I hope they have at least expanded the options since I made my character 7 years ago, because it really does not, you know, if they're, you know, I like the, you know, I like the various mobile suit heads and things that they've given away. That's fun. But yeah, for the character themselves, I feel like a broader range of options would be good, especially if they were going to, you know, like sell cosmetics in some way. Just like,
I was gonna say, spoiler alert, they haven't.
good to
it's
know.
still the same. That's why I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, somebody had a good idea and they just kind of like, they didn't. It feels like they didn't follow through, and that was it.
Yeah, I've said before, it feels like to a large degree just keeping up with the, you know, development for the gacha and for, you know, at least one new mobile suit a week forever just kind of makes an awful lot of other aspects of the game kind of fall away.
Yep. Any
So
okay, sorry.
the thing that I would agree with, hands down, having the ability to have like clan lobbies to customize, or even a personal lobby, is really cool. Even if they made it something modular or similar to PSO or PSO2, well, excuse me, PSO2. I feel like there's other games that also have that, and I can't think of them top of the head, but when it comes to, you know, being a way to sink in, you know, some DP or maybe some recycle tickets or even some tokens, I feel like players will be more open to customize lobbies or rooms.
I'm sitting on 20k tickets, man. I gotta use it on something.
Yeah, like exactly. And going to the pilot cosmetic, I'll be honest with you, the pilot like avatars, they don't look that good. They definitely still look like they're definitely PlayStation 4. At the very best PlayStation 4. And I only say that because I feel as if you're limited with hairstyles, colors, and all that stuff. So it'll be really nice should we get a sequel or some massive crazy update. Give us an editor a little bit better, or at least 3 times the options we have now when it comes to, you know, your height, skin color, your hair color, stuff like that. And if you want people to change it, you know, while I appreciate them giving us a one-time use token to change your pilot, that's still not the way to go. They should allow you to use DP or other currency in game before you do that. Unless it's like a major issue or major deal, then I'm gonna understand it. But we don't see our characters as much as, like, you know, some games where you see them while fighting. You know, to be wrong, I can jump out my suit and run around and stuff, but usually you have a helmet half the time, or you have a different outfit than what you're wearing in the base. Even then, running around looking a certain kind of way might make you feel cool. So I would like to have a cool looking dude. Not saying I don't look cool, but I definitely think going forward it would be beneficial if they continue with this avatar thing. Allow us to customize it, make them look cooler or prettier or more badassery or something. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't have to have the character creator from Neo or Fantasy Star or anything like that. It's just have enough options to have people feel like, oh, this is what I look like. This is my pilot, So, I say thumbs up to clan lobbies. Pilot rework would be amazing, and kind of give us some more emotes to use.
Yeah, definitely. I would say. Oh, good. Sorry, Rob.
I do want to just chime in more specifically that I do like the idea of clan lobbies as like a space to use more, to move around more as your pilot, and to how do I put it, to just like be able to see and use your cosmetics a little bit more, because obviously you can't go out to battle in your Zeta Gundam hat. I absolutely would if I could, but I at the same time I like having that as a separate space, because just lobbies and base camps and things, just the lobby the base camp it's not bad. It's not particularly time consuming or anything, but it is also just a slightly more time consuming version of things we had as a simple menu in GBO1. So just like having an extra space to make better use of those avatars is good, without potentially expanding the base camp area and making just like access to the game functions that much slower.
Yeah, I gotcha. I was gonna say, because this wasn't on the topic at all, but this is more of an observation based on what you guys are saying. I think it's just the sign of the times of the age of how old the engine GBO2 is running on, like whatever they're basing it off of. Obviously, we know it's part of the Gundam Side Stories engine, which I don't even think it has a name of what they were using. So it's just like, I know people are going to probably be thinking, well, yeah, let's just use UE5. Everybody's using UE5. But as we saw with Unreal Engine, not necessarily with BB Studios in particular, but we've seen with, a Gundam game in particular that shall not be named, it had issues. So...
I would definitely like to also say that it's time. It's time to drop PlayStation 4 from the support for the next Gundam game. They cannot have PlayStation 4 support. I'm sorry, I know people might be mad, but the more often, like the more you do this, the more you hold back a game in terms of stuff. Because I feel as if the next game should be like new, current gen only. I want them to push the bounds of either the creativity and the development of whatever they can do. Again, assuming we're going to get a sequel and not like an overhaul. I just want something that isn't kind of held back with the OG PlayStation 4 stuff. Not trying to ridicule PlayStation 4 players, but that's how I see Gundam Battle Operation as a franchise or series moving forward. And I know, it was out on PlayStation 4 before PlayStation 5 came out. But PlayStation 5 has been out for a little bit. PlayStation 4 has been out for a long time.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of that issue in the terms of GBO2, a lot of that issue was during COVID as well, which kind of threw a monkey wrench in everybody's plans, because like PS5 hadn't been publicly available for a lot of folks during that time period, and now we're already, tangenting. Sorry, this is my fault, but I'm pretty sure you guys, I don't know if you guys follow gaming news, but rumors of PlayStation 6 being developed. So,
well, they need to chill out with that.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, like what you guys mentioned is relatively, nail on the head. There's a lot of different things that need to happen, and I would say future moving forward wise for the franchise, there's going to be a point in time where PS4 is definitely not going to cut it. I mean, we see that with Jungle already. So
I'd just like to chime in on that. I don't think it's necessarily impossible to make a version that, not necessarily PlayStation 4 by the time we get to another GBO, but, I don't think it's impossible to make a version that accounts for the previous generation without, while I don't think you have to sacrifice on the newer gen system if you start from the perspective of knowing you're going to need to do that. I mean, PS5 obviously didn't even exist when GBO2 started development, but I feel like if Steam is taken into account from the beginning, because the Steam version of GBO2 is its own whole separate thing, but if you're developing from that perspective to begin with, so that something works on both high-end and low-spec PCs, then the generation gap of consoles will probably not be as much of an issue if that's your starting. Just everything GBO2 has to do on platforms other than PS4 has kind of been bootstrapped on, and that kind of makes things difficult, I think.
You make a good point. I don't even know how to respond to that other than I think it's cool. Hopefully we'll get something down the pipeline, but I'm just like, dang. Yeah, I don't even know what to say other than, man, that kind of makes sense too. It's just like,
yeah,
like it's good to chat with you guys about it, but it's just like I wish we had an answer for that somehow, but we don't.
I bet the game.
Yeah, the game has been out for a while, and there's a lot of different systems in place where, like we said early on, this game has a lot going for it, and there's a lot of good things, and there's a lot of things that probably can be improved, but how can we fix that going forward? Like we just want this to be as successful as, the team behind it, because we love playing the game. We love doing shenanigans with y'all. Like, this is why we're here doing this. So, like, for those who's listening, don't get the wrong idea. Like, this is supposed to be constructive and helpful.
Yep, yeah, and not a hit piece.
I would not still be with this game like 7 years later, and don't even want to think about how many years out from GBO1 if I didn't enjoy it.
Absolutely, it's a love and hate relationship that well, there's more love than there is hate, and I would say, in my honest truth, despite my gripes with the game personally. And that I feel like that's the honest truth. Otherwise, if I truly didn't like the game at all, I wouldn't be here talking Gundam with you guys at all.
I guess we're okay. I guess we're cool enough.
All right, because I know we've been discussing for a very long time. It's been a fun time so far. All I gotta say is alternate universes and quote unquote we're running out of Universal Century mobile suits.
Okay.
Go.
I'm sorry. I'm going right now. So me personally, I don't mind AU suits coming to Gundam Battle Operation 2. I know some players do, and like on the surface level, it's because I don't want to think too far into it. But if I were to say, hey, I really want to play with Freedom. Oh, I guess I have to play a different platform. Like, they're separating the gamer base, right? And also as content creators, that brings us up with, do I want to keep up an account? Because you have to grind a lot to be where some of us are at in terms of like inventory and all that stuff. So it could be almost dreadful when you're trying to farm or grind on both accounts, especially when you have different suits to contend with or deal with. When it comes to running out of UC mobile suits, I mean, of course, eventually there's a finite amount of mobile suits. Mind you, it might not be this year or next year or year after that, but eventually they'll run out of UC suits and they will have to start doing AU suits. Now, I do wish that they were able to find some sort of middle ground so people don't have to face some of these AU suits on the assumption that they're going to come out very busted and crazy, trying to stay true to their lore or to their source material. Meanwhile, we have other 700 suits like a new Gundam or a Zazubi fighting against like a God Gundam. You know what I'm saying? So like it's two worlds collide. So people will have to kind of start using the suspension of disbelief. Oh, we're piling giant mechs already. So if it's not there already, then newsflash, you have to remember that's what we're doing. We're little people in these big old robots, okay? But it's kind of interesting to see if you're running out of UC mobile suits. At that point, it's like, let's talk about how we would do a sequel or a overhaul or something, because a lot of the suits in GBO 2 were in GBO 1. Like, like these suits, some of them have very similar movesets, some of them have very different movesets, but at the end of it, half of the suits, I won't say half, but a lot of the suits kind of came from GBO 1, not GBO 2. And so they were already there. They already were aware of that. So I think what they should have done regarding alternate universes is kind of plan to add them and have a certain cost or a certain mode. You know how we have the weekend matches or, you know, the situation battles or situation modes? They could always have like a certain cost up that's like situation. But that would include the ability to use AU suits. I don't know. There's a lot of things go on, and I'm pretty sure we won't be able to cover all that stuff in this video, and I don't want to take all the talking time, but TLDR for me, AU suits, sure, cool. I'm a fan. I'm really excited. Really cool. Sorry, UC enthusiasts. I know like the basis of GBO2 is UC, and it's kind of like throwing you for a curveball, or it's a curveball thrown at you when you see, you know, our game, which we said we're going to do this, we're now going to actually do that instead. Running out of UC mobile suits, I mean, it was only a matter of time, but someone else take it away.
Okay, I'm going to let Rob give a take because I have some, I want to wait till Rob's, go ahead, Rob.
okay, cool. In terms of just, you know, a place to use the AU things, there's already a mechanism in the game that I feel like could be adapted for this, and I've put this in the surveys too, which is that they have another thing that they implemented and kind of fell by the wayside is the series battle option.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, where you can set it to only allow people to use mobile suits from a specific series, which does not have a lot of options, and they are, you know, geared to where the game was like 5 years ago, because that's about when they did it. And I feel like if you expand on that, that would be, you know, a natural way for people, especially with custom rooms, to be able to, you know, to like tailor what it is they're going for. Situation battles will be another good way to do that. But I don't have any problem with the alternate universe stuff. In terms of running out of UC mobile suits, I think the more accurate way to put it is that they are running out of UC mobile suits they think they can get people to do a 7-step banner for. Because they're, you know, MSV is huge. There are tons more mobile suits that they could add, but you know, nobody's going to pay, you know, for that much in tokens for like the 4th variant of the Gym Sniper or whatever.
I was gonna say, people would drop money for the Gump. Shout outs to my resident Xeons out there. I know that's a callback to somebody that hangs out in my chat.
I mean, I if they made that a token pack, I would definitely get it. But I do feel like running out of UC mobile suits is a little bit of a, you know, generalization. Just like, there's just, once you get as far ahead as Crossbone, you know, you're getting to the point of what qualifies as a UC mobile suit when you get past that point. You know, it's like, do we go to G Savior? Do we, you know, can we get the rights to Gaia gear? There's all sorts of like obscurities that we can get into, but you know, is anybody going to care enough to you know, put like 4 or 5-star money into it. And
I want the AOZ reboots, please.
Yeah, AOZ alone could keep the game going for another couple of years, I'm betting. But just that, and to say nothing of G-Quux, I want my G-Quux Gelgoog in the game. I love that thing. But yeah,
I slightly disagree with that. But I'm more against the I'm more against the DOM that they have in there. I'm like, what the hell is? Oh my god.
The names take me for a loop, bro. I'm like, that is not what I'm used to it looking like. But
exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, there's plenty of stuff. Just like I'm not sure how far you can take premium banner stuff and stay ahead of like production on UC side stories. So
yeah, so I mean that makes a lot more sense, because when I heard that, I was like supremely pissed. Like, what do you mean? That's kind of BS for one, and two, I know it's probably a licensing too, so I hate that type of like backroom politics, because it's like Sentinel. We don't have everything from Sentinel, and they probably fought tooth and nail just to get stuff out of Sentinel into GBO2. So there's that.
I feel like the Sentinel rights have probably gotten like clarified over the years, because it is showing up in a lot of places and a lot of things, and making those individual licenses might be harder. But I believe I heard recently that the Gundam Age mobile suits actually had to be licensed specially to from level 5 to appear in some of the Build Fighters stuff they were in.
Oof. Because I know that was my ordeal with like the Breaker series too. We got some Age stuff in there.
Man, that's the downside with Gundam being out for so long, and so many different companies have had their hands in, trademark, copyright, all that stuff, blah 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 blah. Like, it sucks because some people have owned certain parts of Gundam, and let's face it, each Gundam has its own fan, right? Each series, each saga, each pilot, each suit has its own fan, and everyone wants their favorite suit or their favorite series or pilot, whatever, in the game. And it sucks when, we see stuff like that. And may it not be like something they disclose upright, but you look and it's like, wow, why is this suit not in here? Are they waiting for something? Is there like rights issues and stuff? But hey, at least they started giving us sound packs. That was very surprising. And I thought that was really cool. And also, we probably should have considered the fact that once we started getting sound packs, we probably would get AU eventually.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time.
I've heard all your guys' opinions. I am not in disagreement. I think it's, pretty cool to have that perspective. But like for me, playing GBO2 from, I wouldn't say I played it from the beginning, because that's untrue, because we weren't playing it when the game came out. Well, for some of us anyways. For me, it was always UC. So for me, polar half of me is against it. Not so much that I dislike AU units. I feel like the implementation of AU units is kind of a half-fast thing. It was definitely inevitable, but I feel like the way that they're throwing it into GBO2 is half-fast, because a lot of that beta testing, if you want to call it, was done on PC. We're getting into that point. Yeah, we're getting into the point where certain UC obscure suits may not necessarily have that same draw, so they're now pulling into AU units, which also gives that sort of misconception that we're going to get AU grunt units as well, which they had mentioned nothing on that. They might very well do that, like some of the G Gundam grunt units like you've seen with like Neo Japan, and I think some of the maybe Dark Army stuff. Maybe technically I would say that would qualify under that, or even something from Seed and everything. Or I think I saw a comment about, oh man, does that mean we're actually getting Litos now? Although that would be kind of cool, by the way. It's kind of like it sets this weird precedence that, for one, they're going to focus on the faces of the franchise, but at the same time, they're not clarifying or even hinting at the fact that, there even is a possibility that they're going to do that. So it's just like, it's just sort of artificial confusion that it's I don't know what to take from it. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm mixed, because it's just like, it's cool that they're, you know, giving that love to people that love that franchise, but at the same time, it's like, we're just gonna throw it in here.
I get it, but like I do want to say the odd thing would be having, like I said, having these Gundams come into a game that was supposed to be UC, because the movement and the speed of the game is slower than most, you know.
Also, you're balancing AU too now.
Exactly. You have to balance AU, and then you have to make sure it feels right. Like, you want a Freedom Gundam to feel like freedom, but you don't have to feel like freedom with this system. Not saying something's wrong with the system. I'm just saying we're used to seeing freedom move a lot faster than what this system could probably show. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you look at like the movement in a Gundam Breaker game versus Battle Operation 2, very different, very distinct. So when you bring in those AU suits, I think it could also be challenging for them to make it feel just right. I'm not saying they can't, but it might be hard for them to. So that's another reason I think they would probably look to also add some of the grunt suits. Fingers crossed if they were to do that. But I just want to say I like these kind of conversations because Aoshi said, you know, there's some things we agree about, some things we don't agree about. It's totally fine. And I understand your sentiment and everyone else's sentiment regarding if they want it or don't want it, but we'll see how it plays out in the coming months.
Yeah, honestly, I think this was a conversation long coming, as over the years, you know, we've done different collaborations as a whole, separately, individually, you know, group collabs, different things, social media. And I feel like with our history with GBO2 or just Battle Operation as a franchise, I would say, namely with Rob, you've been playing this since GBO1, and then I know Vion, you've been playing, I don't know if you played, you said 1 or Next? I know you said you played Next as well.
Yeah, I played Next.
One thing I wanted to interject before we close out is that, you know, the reason why I said it is half-assed too is it's like, yeah, we're throwing into that. Why not tease the fact that we're getting a Next 2? And then have a platform that justifies having all the suits into it.
Yeah.
I can go for that.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, a lot of different things. So.
Yeah, there's a lot. It is so weird. It's really hard to just have like that one answer and stick by it.
Absolutely.
Like tried and true. Now, a lot of people are like, no, this is dumb because X, Y. I was like, man, y'all need to take a step back and take a look. There's a lot of different like things in play here. It could come down to the survivability of the game. Like, what if this game needs to perform in order to get a sequel? Or if they want to see if they want to do a sequel by bringing the AU, like they could be honestly using this game, the rest of this game's lifeline as a test run for whatever sequel they have. That's how I felt with SD Gundam Battle Alliance and Gundam Breaker 4 and so on. I feel like some of these games are like kind of teasing or like testing the waters, so to speak, to see if they should do it, if they could, or, you know, just because they could, does that mean they should?
Yeah.
You know.
Any last comments you want to have, Rob? Because I think we've been going at this for a while now, and I know you guys have some other things to take care of today.
And just to close out the AU thing, that you know, my take on it, like I said, I don't mind it, but also I like you said, just like something about, you know, GBO2 getting into the really you know, deep waters of UC suit selection that is not available in other games. Just part of what I love about it. So, you know, maybe they don't do the grunt suits from, you know, the alternate universes, but we still get, you know, all that fun Advance of Zeta stuff as the, you know, intermediate banners. I'd be okay with that. I don't know how that's going to do for the AU people, but just like I don't know how to describe it, except that when I was playing Extreme Versus and I had some of the assists come up, you know, entirely rendered and animated mobile suits, and it's like, I want to be playing that one. So yeah, and basically that level of mobile suit and beyond are, playable main suits in GBO2, and that is just one of the things that is so great about it. But, in terms of overall, I'm, to be honest, after, was not really expecting the end of GBO1 when it came, so I'm just kind of, and the fact that there was a GBO2 at all at the time was a huge surprise. So just like, I hope they keep going after this, given that GBO2 has, I think, more or less outlived its original expected lifespan, as best I can tell. That they will probably do another, and yeah, I hope. I hope they have. If they do, they take the time, and they have the time to figure out what has worked and what hasn't. Because yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, and a lot of stuff that could definitely use rethought and polished. And yeah, just so I hope when GBO3 probably happens, it happens slowly behind the scenes with the care it deserves. Because we I think this format has a future for as long as they're willing to support it, honestly.
And there will be people supporting it too if they don't half-ass it and do it with care, which you see that lack of like in gaming as of late. Just did you guys have any closing comments before we wrap up here? Beyond that, or
as far as that topic goes, hey, sure, what's up? What's happening? Let's see if you doing good. Hopefully,
I think you made it clear,
you're happy to be on PlayStation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as running out of UC suits, hey, bro, run them UC suits, dog. Y'all know I'm biased. I want all the suits.
I gotcha. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. I want to say special thank yous to our guests here, RedWolfVion and Rob. You can follow them on YouTube. I will have their respective socials there as well. I'm your host, Aoshi, and if you guys like what you saw here, definitely don't hesitate to hit that like button. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what your guys' opinions are. We'd love to see. We'll probably be reading that. And if you guys want another video with us here, kind of just discussing GBO2, maybe, or GBO as a whole, and there's some topics that you'd like us to have an opinion on, or a whole plethora of topics, well, there might be another video. But until next time, guys, I will see you all on the next video. Take care.
Bye.
Later.